Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the City Commission March 8th meeting 2023. Thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate everyone who is here. Tonight should not last too long, so hopefully we can get through some of the items quickly. For those of you who are here for the first time, we want to welcome you and let you know we start out with our Pledge of Allegiance, and then we have various agenda announcements, and then we move into presentations. Tonight we have a single presentation, and these presentations are normally where we recognize individuals, we recognize organizations, or we recognize events in our community that we would like to emphasize. So I'd like to call Chastity Roker from Dillard High School, 11th grade. If you could please come up to the microphone and lead us in the pledge, and I would ask you all to please rise. Press the button.
Good afternoon, everyone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Please be seated. Thank you, Chastity. Great job. If I can all ask you to please join me in a moment of silence before we begin the meeting. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Herbst?
Present.
Commissioner Glassman?
Here.
Commissioner Beasley-Pittman?
Here.
Vice Mayor Sturman?
Here.
Mayor Trentalis?
Here. And we have a couple of agenda announcements. CR2, additional information was added to page 18 of the CAM and Exhibit 3. CR8, Exhibit 3 was added to combine the two parcels into one resolution in lieu of the two resolutions attached as Exhibits 1 and 2. Got all that?
Repeat CR8 again.
I'm sorry?
The last one, repeat it again. What was that?
Exhibit 3, this is in CR8, was added to combine the two parcels into one resolution in lieu of the two resolutions attached as Exhibits 1 and 2.
Thank you.
We might have a couple of walk-ons. One is a motion approving the settlement agreement with Anthony Ewell in case number 20-CV-60826, U.S. District Court, Southern District of Florida. And there may be a walk-on resolution approving a waiver of the mandatory formal bid requirements of the city code to procure booking services from Wizard Entertainment for the 4th of July Spectacular on 4th of July Beach.
What's the date of that, Mayor?
I'm sorry?
What date is that event?
I don't know. I have to check with the city attorney.
Okay, thank you.
And PH2, the city attorney requested to remove from the agenda. So, with that in mind, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes and the agenda?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley-Pittman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and the agenda is now approved along with the minutes. And now we have a presentation, and I'd like to invite Commissioner Glassman, who will have a presentation regarding Florida Surveyors and Mappers Week. Go for it, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor, and I would love to call up and join me at the podium. We have with us Dodie Keith Lazowick, Chief Executive Officer of the Keith team, also joined by Scott McLaughlin, Anthony Williams, our Surveying Supervisor for Public Works, and Charles Harris, Engineering Technician 2 for Public Works, who's been, by the way, with the city in the city's survey department for 26 years.
Wow.
Not bad. Oh, error?
Uh-oh.
Oh my God, who gave me this? It's 28 years and 3 months? Oh my God, who gave me this information? You know, you can't count on anyone for reliable information. Unbelievable. Anyway, congratulations. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. All right, it is my pleasure to read this proclamation. This is from the Office of the Mayor, City of Fort Lauderdale, in recognition of Florida Surveyors and Mappers Week, March 19th through 25, 2023. Whereas, surveying and mapping professionals have contributed to our nation's history, development, and quality of life. These experts were instrumental in forming and establishing boundaries in the United States. Without them, enjoying the American dream of property ownership would be more challenging. And whereas our founding fathers served as surveyors, adding to the historical mapping of America as it expanded, this includes former United States Presidents George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt. And whereas this esteemed profession requires specialized education and training, knowledge of mathematics and related physical and applied sciences, and an understanding of the law. And whereas continual advancements require surveyors and mappers to understand and implement the methods of the past while adapting to meet current needs, they are also expected to implement modern technology to solve future challenges. And whereas surveyors and mappers are uniquely qualified and licensed to determine and describe land and water boundaries for managing natural resources, their expertise assists in making important decisions, and they help to protect private and public property rights. And whereas the City of Fort Lauderdale celebrates and appreciates the many contributions of surveying and mapping professionals, now therefore we, as City Commissioners of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, do hereby proclaim March 19th through 25th, 2023 as Florida Surveyors and Mappers Week in the City of Fort Lauderdale and recognize the ongoing dedication of surveyors and mappers to our community and throughout the United States. Dated this, the 8th day of March, 2023, and signed by our Mayor, the Honorable Dean J. Trentalis. Thank you. Would someone like to say a few words about the profession? Let's say a few words about the profession, please.
Thank you so much, the City of Fort Lauderdale. Purple, yes, National Women's Day. There you go, sporting purple. But thank you so much for taking the time to acknowledge a profession that's very old to this country and has really been a key part in how the growth of Fort Lauderdale has been able to happen. And I am really proud to stand here today with a third-generation surveyor. Born and raised here in Fort Lauderdale. His grandfather was one of the McLaughlins, pioneering surveyors, and my father, Bill Keith, as well. So I'm only second generation, so Scott's got a little up on me. But thank you so much. It's a push we do every year for National Surveyors Week to try to get our communities to recognize the efforts and the work that this profession does, and we thank you for taking the time to acknowledge it. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Let's go to the well and get a photo with everybody.
The street's even named after McLaughlin. Congratulations. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Absolutely. So before we, right now, the next portion of our meeting is what's called the consent agenda. But before we move into the consent agenda, I'd like to turn the floor over to Vice Mayor Sturman.
Yeah. Just a clarification on one of the items that came in on conference earlier. Mr. Dwayne Spence, there was an issue with Tarpon River, and could you want to clarify what that letter was about?
So the letter is an agreement between the developer and the Civic Association in which they offer to convey property to the city for use as a city park, contingent upon the city accepting it. So I believe the association would like to know if the city is interested in accepting the property for a city park.
Okay. So the question is, what would need to be involved for us to accept that? I guess Parks and Recreation would have to be involved. Mr. Spence, how would we go about exploring that?
Parks and Recreation would just evaluate whether or not the property could be used for that purpose and make a recommendation to the City Commission with regards to accepting it, and we'll bring an item forward.
Okay. Okay, so I'd like
So
Commissioner.
where is where is it located?
It's in Tarpon River.
Right.
It's over by the River Lofts, I think.
How big of a site is it?
Well, Stephanie, would you want to, are you familiar with that or not really?
I mean, do we want this to be an agenda item tonight, and that we can discuss it?
Well, we could, are you familiar with that?
Good evening, Stephanie Toothaker on behalf of Moderno, who's the developer of the River Lofts. This was a discussion and by the way, I was not prepared for this
Oh, no,
tonight,
I
so
apologize.
it caught me
I
by surprise.
apologize 100%.
But going back many years now, the development, the River Lofts development, worked with the neighborhood association. They own a piece of property that is adjacent to the River Lofts. The offer that Moderno made was that they would use that parcel for staging for the development of the project during construction. And after that, they would work with the neighborhood association to make, it's a very small piece of property, but to make that a little pocket park.
Is this on the New River?
No, it's behind, it's about a block off the New River, and it's more behind like the housing trust development.
The folio number that you have is associated with a property on the corner of Southwest 5th Street and Southwest 4th Avenue, right before the bend as you approach the New River.
On Fourth, it's near Fourth. You know how
Right.
you
It's
go,
just it's
yeah.
but it's right. It's adjacent to this development, though.
It's directly adjacent to the development. It's being used for construction staging right now. Yes.
What's around it?
A
Underdeveloped.
lot of halfway houses.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about
Yeah.
it being a stopping point for homeless people.
The city actually reached out to me recently. I think it was perhaps somebody with the city attorney's office, and we agreed to sit down and work out the mechanics of it.
All right, why don't you do that?
I think that would be best. Yeah.
Okay.
And the
Thank
only
you.
reason I brought up is I think I was told that we have to accept this as a park or something that we would have to opine upon, but whatever needs to be done, let us know.
Vice
okay?
Mayor, maybe I could come meet with you so we can make sure you're comfortable. And
thank you very
and-
much.
Yes,
I'd love that. Thank you very much.
And I can pull out all the documents and the history, and we can make sure that everybody's satisfied.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Okay.
very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. With that behind us, so let us move forward with the consent agenda. So I would ask at this point if there's anyone on the commission who wishes to pull an item from the consent agenda. If that's the case, we will discuss that particular item separately and vote on it separately. Otherwise, we'll vote on all the consent agenda items together. If there's an item that someone is here to speak about that is not pulled by any member of this commission, then I would invite you to come and speak on that item before we vote on any of the consent agenda items. So with that having been said, I would ask Commissioner Herbst, are there any consent agenda items you wish to pull?
No.
None. Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
CR3.
CR3. Okay, Commissioner Glassman?
Yes, CM1 and CM3.
Vice Mayor?
None.
None. So we have CR3, CM1, and CM3. Let's see. I have someone, Mark Dickerman, you want to speak on CR1, correct? Okay, so I can't hear you. CR1 is relating to resolution supporting endorsing new capital projects as part of the 2023 Mobility Advancement Program. Is that what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, real quick. Mayor, Commissioners, Mark Dickerman, citizens of Fort Lauderdale. I read through the backup. The proposals for Sailboat Bend are fantastic. It's necessary because between the hours of 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., 14th Street is, the Middle Street is used as a way to avoid all the traffic lights on Broward Boulevard, and the line to get onto Broward and head towards 95 goes all the way back to Middle Street sometimes. So I think these improvements are going to reduce that. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're very welcome.
And Mayor, if I could just add to that, I wanted to thank staff very much for working so well, really listening to the needs of the neighborhood in Sailboat Bend, transportation and mobility. Thank you so much for doing this work with them, and I'm looking forward to getting this done. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Also, Peter Partington has signed up to speak on CR2. Peter, are you here? There you are.
Yes, sir. With your approval, I would like to distribute a one-page handout through the clerk.
If you can give it to the clerk.
How long do I get, Mayor?
Well, I'll start you at 2 again.
Can we make it 3? I can't quite get through it in 2, I think.
All right, we'll give you 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Since Mr. Dickerman did not use his whole 2 minutes.
Thank you to him.
Please proceed.
Peter Partington. I'm a 35-year resident of Coral Ridge Isles. I'm a board member of Coral Ridge Isles Civic Association, but I'm here not representing them solely for myself. Coral Ridge Isles is about 1,000 homes. It's a large neighborhood, and I'm here to talk about the Parks Bond funding for Florinada Park. Now, you need to understand what Florinada Park is for Coral Ridge Isles. And in the handout that I distributed, Florinada Park is the extreme top right-hand corner, outlined in red, in blue, excuse me. That is about 0.4 of an acre only. All the other area shown there is inside the fence for the school. It's about 0.4 of an acre, and there's a gazebo on it and a volleyball court. As I understand it, the Parks Bond dollars are for a new playground, athletic field lights, restroom renovation, shade for bleachers, site furnishings, ADA. Now, all of that is within fenced school grounds. And it is not really usable as a park to the neighborhood, and certainly not as a community park. Because of the very small size of our Florinada Park, the Civic Association has been looking for sites for another park. We got close to 3 sites: an apartment block on Northeast 57th Place, about 0.7 of an acre, listed for $4 million. The owner decided not to sell that. That was waterfront property. Similarly, a waterfront apartment block on 53rd Court, 0.9 of an acre, where the asking price was $7.75 million. The Parks Bond Advisory Group rejected that. Finally, there was a property, 1741 Northeast 58th Street, which is a dry double lot, about 0.6 of an acre, asking 1.59. The Parks Board was okay with that. The neighborhood voted 2-1 in favor, but the immediate neighbors are strongly opposed. Therefore, we've really hit a dead end as far as finding a park. So I'm here basically to say, can you help us, I should put it this way, the Parks Bond expenditure inside the school grounds is nearly useless for Coral Ridge Isles needs. My suggestion is, and what I'd like the city's help with, is that the city negotiate with the school board to acquire about half an acre to add to our small existing area. After all, the city is going to spend about $1 million of the Parks Bond on facilities largely used by the school. If we could get something twice the size of what we have now, it would form a worthwhile community hub for the 3rd largest neighborhood in the city, where the residents, 1,000 homes, all contribute to your Parks Bond. And finally, I'm going to make a shameless appeal to you, Mayor, for assistance, and I'm going to quote an old Greek saying: communities grow great when old people plant trees in the shade of which they know they would never sit. Can we please have the Commission's help to enlarge our park?
Was that
Thank
in
you.
translation?
It means, Mayor, he doesn't think you're going to be living much longer.
He knows something I don't.
I'm really quite amazed.
Can we get this meeting done quickly? You never know what's going to happen. Doctor, can you check my pulse? Okay, so you want to expand this park?
The little blue
This
top
one's there.
right
This one
hand
we
corner.
have. You want to
Yes.
expand it? You want to expand this area?
Yes.
Into their baseball diamond?
Into the park, the school, Florinata School field. Yes.
Well, that might be a heavy lift because you know the school board doesn't give up much of anything. But
But remember, they took it from the neighborhood some 25 years ago. It might have been their land, but it was used until that point as the community park.
so, Commissioner
that's what
Herbst,
they left us with.
Sorry, Peter. Commissioner Herbst, were you familiar with this request?
So Peter and I had a conversation about this just recently, and there is money in our parks bond to do some improvements to Florinata Park. I think, Phil, if you have a second, you can come up and address what we're looking at doing there. But I also suggested to Peter that we might be able to go back and try and explore something with the school board to see if they'd be willing to open up any of that space for the community. I share your hesitancy as to whether we'll get anything back from them that would, help us in that direction. They haven't been very cooperative in other
Well,
areas.
they owe us some money on our school resource officers, so maybe we can do a swap.
Well, they owe us money on school resource officers. They have not been particularly accommodating with pools and other venues around the city. I was actually hoping that if we can do a little bit more up at Lockhart in the stadiums where they're asking us to expand seating and put in an announcer's booth and sound systems, if we show, that we're working towards accommodating their needs on something that honestly I believe they should probably be paying for, that they might consider opening up this park for the community as well. So that's a little
That's
a
far
little
more.
horse
That's
trading
far
there.
more reasonable than I don't know what you're thinking. So, Peter, your request has merit. I was at the meeting when the issue of acquiring that other land was considered for park space, and I sensed from the audience there that there was no appetite for doing that. So, anything we can do to expand the park space. We do have money in our parks bond for acquisition. Phil, I'm not sure if this would qualify if we wanted to expand the area, if we needed to buy this from the school board. But it doesn't look like the school board is really using this unless it's a playground. I don't even know what this is used for because there's a baseball diamond. It looks like there's another sports area to the. There's several sports areas, but the central area looks just open field. So if we could. But the first issue is how do we get the public to be able to access this? You're saying that the park itself is completely fenced off from the public. So that's that we have to get the first base here to get that opened up to the public.
The park is theoretically available in the evening and at weekends. When I say the park, I mean Florinata School
Right.
grounds. There is a playground within Florinata School grounds that is separately fenced. That is never unlocked and open to anyone from the neighborhood.
Okay.
Is that blue area, is that fenced in? The area that you have in blue, is that fenced in?
No, sir. Everything, the big area is all fenced in. The blue area is open to the adjoining roads.
Okay.
No, but you could get from the blue area into the baseball field.
You would have to walk towards Florinata School at the south side, and there's a gate there which is locked during school times, but is supposed to be unlocked when that baseball diamond areas are available to the neighborhood. You seldom see people in there.
All right. So the Florinata Park is available to the public 24/7. It's just the recreation area is not open to the public.
Yes, well, the park is 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., By park, I mean the blue
The
outline area.
Florinata Park. Right, okay. Well, maybe, so work with Commissioner Herbst and see, how we can move that forward. I think it's a great idea to try to expand that area since we already have a park there. If there's any way we can work with the school board to try to negotiate some kind of agreement, I think that would be great.
Thank you, sir. And if it's any consolation, I happen to know I'm older than you, so.
Yeah. I'm sure not by much. Okay, thank you. We also have someone who signed up for CR4. Fred Nesbitt. Fred, are you here? There you are. Okay. Okay. I think we're good. And also Kim Kraus signed up for CR4. You're good. Okay. Okay. So, except for CR3, CM1, and CM3, do I hear a motion to approve all the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? It's been seconded. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman,
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst, Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalles.
Yes, and those consent agenda items, meaning all the consent agenda except CR3, CM1, and CM3 have now been approved. So if you're here for any of those, you're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting. Otherwise, we'll move on to other items on the agenda. So let us begin with CM3, motion approving recommendations from the Walk of Fame Committee, and that was Commissioner Glassman.
Mayor, could we go back to CM1 first and then go to CM3?
Oh, I'm sorry. Correct. I'm sorry. CM1.
Okay, thank you. So I mentioned some of this afternoon when we had some discussion about
It is
events on the beach and a lot of the issues that happened this past week with regards to folks not being able to get back to their homes and having to walk over the Las Olas Bridge, and the noise starting from 7 a.m. on a Saturday with loudspeakers and blaring music and all of that. But I wanted to touch on something a little bit different even on this agenda item, because I noticed when I went through it that, by the way, this is happening at a time this weekend when we have the St. Patrick's Day Parade and Festival on the Barrier Island. We also have the miniature golf. And by the way, the beach residents, and myself included, are thrilled to have all the events. And everyone loves the beach and knows that all of these events are really appreciated. And it just adds to the quality of life for the whole city and for all of our visitors as well. But then we have to just also consider the life of the people that are actually living there. So when we look at the St. Patrick's Day Parade this weekend and the festival, we look at the miniature golf that's there as well and drawing record crowds at the corner of A1A and Las Olas. We have this event 1, Dig the Beach Volleyball Series, District 4. This is coming in front of us this evening for approval, and the event is this Saturday. That's just 3 days away, and I just don't think that that's a fair amount of time to let neighborhoods know what's happening. It's going to be a big event. Again, nothing against the event, but we need to establish some sort of parameters whereby after a certain cutoff date, you can't even apply to have an event in the city, and especially on the Barrier Island, especially when so much else is going on that particular day. So I have that concern.
Well,
I think,
can I just say something, Commissioner?
Sure.
I'm looking at the background on the CAM. It says city staff has been working closely with the event organizer regarding event topics such as logistics, maintenance, and security as detailed below. So it didn't just get dumped on their lap. I think, I don't know why it's taken so long to come to the commission, but they've been working with city staff, so I don't want anyone to think like they just came at the last minute.
I understand, but what you're reading is from a template that we see on every single event, every single agenda. So I'm not really paying that much attention to it. I'm just saying that for the residents that like to look at the calendar of events, or for the residents that want to know what's coming in the neighborhood, or they want to know when it might be easy to leave or come back to their home, or when they want to know when it might take them an hour to get somewhere where usually it just takes 10 or 15 minutes. We just have to do a better job. We have to do a better job of planning. We have to do a better job of coordinating. We might even have to look at limiting the number of events in a certain month or after. But again, I do feel very strongly that if we are going to approve events, that there needs to be some sort of cutoff after such date where you just can't ask for approval from the commission to have an event. Again, just not fair. There are many residents who like to look at the events calendar of the city and they plan and they just see what's happening. I just think that it needs to be a little bit better than 3 days in advance of the event. That's all.
So, Phil, do you want to fill us in, like, how many days has your staff been working with these folks?
Yeah, so this one is really falls on us. We've been working with the promoter for quite some time. This is a reoccurring event. They come down from time to time, and we were working with our calendars and working with the events on the beach. And we actually had already kind of confirmed that we were going to be able to do that with them prior to the St. Pat's Parade moving to the beach. So when that came as well, we have worked with our staff and police to try to figure out how we can accommodate everything. And so the idea would be that the volleyball group, we've informed them that they usually come in very early in the morning. They would come in hopefully from the 17th Street end. We'll open the gate that's halfway on the parking lot there. They can pull into the parking lot, do their event on the south end of the beach down by the ocean, and then hopefully not be impacted by everything that's going on to the north. But that all being said, I agree with you, Commissioner, and we have heard you loud and clear many, many times that this is way too late to come tonight. So we are correcting that, and we've also discussed, and the city manager brought it up the other day, that probably next month we're going to have a pretty robust discussion about special events as a whole. As you remember, you asked us to go out and look at other cities and what they were charging and how that was all working. And I think from the other discussions that we've been having, we need to probably expand that discussion, as well as what you brought up tonight as far as what are we doing now? We can give you a list of everything that's listed and what we've done in the past year and a half, and what's already happened in 2023. Talk about anything you want to talk about, and as we move forward, what does the commission want us to do as we, field these events? What we've always done in the past is we bring forward what is brought to us, we vet it, but we always bring it to the commission to make the final decision. But if we have some parameters on how we can maybe limit that, then we can definitely do that at the staff level.
No, and I appreciate that. Again, not to be putting a damper on the events, because this is part of our city. This is what we do. This is the lifestyle. We love that people want to be here. People want to participate. People want to be outdoors. They want to enjoy. But we just have to be cognizant of the fact that people also live there. So it's just really important for us to do a really good job coordinating everything. And again, this weekend, city manager, with this volleyball tournament and with the St. Patrick's Day Parade on A1A and the St. Patrick's Day Festival at the Las Olas Promenade Park, it's just going to be really important for us to manage traffic, to have folks on those corners, keeping cars moving, assisting people, because it's going to be pretty busy this Saturday. Spring break, which is in full gear now as well. I forgot about that. So when you add all of those to the mix, it's a challenge, and we can get through it, but I just want us to always be aware of the fact that I think that we can just do a little bit better. That's all.
Okay,
Point
thank you.
taken, Commissioner. We are going to do better. We are going to bring this on time. We're also going to improve our ability to show on the calendar. Even if it's not approved, we're going to put on the calendar pending approval so that everyone on the beach can look at the calendar, and although it hasn't been approved by the commission, everyone is on the know of what is potentially going to be approved.
That'd be really helpful, especially because I was told that we couldn't do that, but now to hear that we're going to put pending approval, that'd be great, just to give people a heads up. Because, even with the recent Las Olas Art Fair, the road closures can make it very difficult for people to try to figure out how to navigate, because we close roads now all the time on the Barrier Island and also off of Las Olas. So, on both sides of the Las Olas Bridge, it can be a challenge. So I really appreciate that we're going to do that, and then we can just always, keep listening to what we're hearing from folks. And I know that we're going to meet that challenge. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Phil. Do you wish to move the item?
Yes. So
Okay.
moved.
CM1 is now moved. Do I hear a second? Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman,
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and CM1 is now approved. This would actually be a nice thing for the visitors to our beach to actually witness the volleyball tournament too. So anyway,
Yes.
okay, CM3 now.
Yeah, and all of the events are great to witness. I don't want anyone to get me wrong, Mayor. I'm not in
I know.
opposition to
I know.
events.
There's a process.
There's a process, and we also need
get
to, be aware of that. Thank you. So CM3, just a really quick question as I was going through the backup, and again, only because I'm concerned with the physical constraints of what we have here on the Walk of Fame on the beach. Typically, every year we approve 4 names for the Walk of Fame. This year we have 5 names, and I'm fine with that, but I just want to know if maybe we should incorporate into the procedures and policy of this a limit on how many names we do, or else you could just go as high as you wanted, and I'm not sure how much space we actually have allocated for the Walk of Fame, but I'm just wondering, City Manager,
I'll
do we
make
have
sure
a-
that there's a space for you when you retire.
Oh, gosh. Mayor, I just wish there were some tissues up here because I'm just getting so emotional. Thank you. But seriously, I just would like to know if there is a policy for what we're approving every year, or are we just going to continue to see the increase in numbers? I just think we need to be careful about how many we approve every year, and this is an increase this year over what's typical.
Is there anyone from the committee here? Do you want to come up and explain how you ended up with 5?
There's 2.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. We had a very strong presentation for Miss Eula Johnson. And because of the strength of her presentation by Judge Ilona Holmes, she was taken out of the challenge and just automatically say, hey, this is it. She goes in, no questions about it. She does not stay in with the group. So finally, after we had gotten her in, just automatically, we decided that we would bring the next highest voted person into the realm, and that's how we ended up with 5. I'd appreciate it if you would accept them all. Thank you very much.
Oh, sure. I have no problem.
How can you
Don't
say no to
worry.
that?
I'm going to be happy to accept them all. I'll even do if you want 7 or 8 tonight. But I'll do.
Oh, no,
wait a
not
minute, wait a minute.
tonight,
You're
because
gonna,
I
you're
wasn't
gonna be
there.
upset. You're going to be upset with what I have to say.
No,
but
no,
I was just wondering if there was a process involved here.
Normally we do have 4, and we limit it at 4. But this particular time, it was just a no-brainer,
So everybody else had a
She was so
strong-
strongly represented by the judge.
Yes.
Until one of our members, and I can't recall who it was a gentleman who said, hey, look, stop that right here. She goes in automatically. Let's just move this on, take her out of the challenge, and go for the next ones that we need. And then there was an opinion on the floor that since this has happened this way this time, we will go for the next highest person who received votes from us. And that's how it all happened.
No, I understand, but
why?
then
Why
not just 3 more after
Why
Ms.
did you
Johnson?
eliminate one of the others then?
Why didn't we eliminate one of the others?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we didn't think about that at that particular time, Commissioner. They were all very strong and representative of people who should be on the Walk of Fame.
No
I don't
one's
think we
no
should have
one-
eliminated any of the persons that we had nominated and voted on. Not at
Okay.
all.
Okay. So
I mean, we went to 27 people.
27.
Yeah.
There were 27
Nominations.
people
Wow.
whose names were submitted. And you can imagine what a chore that was running through all of that to get to where we got in 2.5 hours.
Okay. Can I
Thank
just
you.
can I just add this to the conversation?
Okay, add to the conversation. I'm going to let you.
Okay. You know, there's one individual that needs to be added.
Oh.
Yes. And it may not happen this time, but I'm hoping your committee will consider it next time. And maybe we'll submit the application next time.
Okay.
And that is a gentleman who has served on this commission for 20 years and who was an architect for the redevelopment of the Northwest and who helped put together the redevelopment and the reconstruction of Sistrunk Boulevard, brought the building department out to the Northwest, and was a champion for the people in the Northwest for all that time. And that's Carlton Moore. And whether we add him as a sixth or he's on the list for next time, I don't want to take away the purview of the advisory board, but I just saying, let's not forget this person because he was a champion of the city and of the community in the Northwest, and he needs to be recognized in a very honorable and visible way.
Well, we do have applications, and we do have deadlines for those applications.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
you are invited to put in that application.
I will do that. Thank you.
You do that.
Thank you.
Mayor, so then we had 27 nominations, and I understand that we have 5 in front of us.
Robert,
and
you want to say something?
although it could have been Ms. Johnson and then just 3 others, but I just want to know if there is a process, that's all, going forward.
We should probably keep it to 4, but Robert, did you want to add anything to this?
Because they did choose 4 originally, then they added 1 at the end, if you read the rounds of voting. So I was just wondering why we did add the 5th, that's all.
Hi, Robert Lockery, Chair of the committee, but actually just speaking for myself. I will say, and these 5 applicants, as you all have noted, are duly qualified, as is a potential 6th, maybe next year. But one of the things I would suggest is...
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Lockery.
Yeah.
We haven't noticed this as a meeting, a sunshine meeting for that particular committee, so...
I didn't know that we were subject to such, that's fine.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
That's all
violate
right.
you. Okay, never
We would
mind.
certainly look for direction on numbers in the future. I'll say that. We do
Okay.
talk.
Thank you.
So, Dwayne, do you know if this...
You're such a spoiler.
Yeah. Do you know if this board does have any kind of protocols or policies that says choose X number of people every year, or no?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
They just have a general resolution that establishes the board.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Just have the establishing resolution with regards to the board. I'm not aware of any policy that has been adopted with regards to that.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else with regard to this item? We had, hold on a second. Okay, no one else has signed up to speak. Would someone like to move the item?
So moved.
It's been moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst? Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and that item is approved. Congratulations, those individuals. Thank you for the work of the committee. We really appreciate it. Just make sure you have a space for Commissioner Glassman. Okay. Commissioner Beasley Pittman asked that CR3 be pulled. CR3.
Yes, I really am excited about this resolution, and I pulled it to allow also for family and friends if they wanted to address the dais regarding it.
Is Warren Pinder here?
Yes.
Would you like to come up and speak? Thank you. Which one of you is Warren? Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Warren Pender. This is my sister-in-law.
I'm Rosalind Pender.
Nice to meet you both.
We have some dealer people here and some people that's representing Coach Pender. At the time, on behalf of the family, we consider this an honor for Coach Pender. She was my sister-in-law. This has been a journey. But first of all, I'd like to thank Rosalind Osgood, who I contacted first. She led me to the right people, former Commissioner McKenzie, Vaughn Howard. They stayed on this journey with us. We appreciate it. Mayor, Commissioner Beasley, you took it over. You kept it going. I'm glad it didn't fall through the cracks. Marcia, as you know her, was not that type of person to let things fall through the crack, and the Pender family is not that type of people. So on behalf of this family, the Pender family, we are a proud family, and we totally appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a video here? I think we have a video here we'd like to show.
Is it going to make us cry?
Get the tissues.
If you were to play the video,
you want to roll
please.
the video?
We have the advantage, ladies. We have the advantage. Y'all got that? Yes. We are up 18 points. The game is not over. The fat ladies still have not sung. Are we all on the same page? Yes. Okay.
Who is Marcia Pender?
You're gonna get yours. You're gonna get your cookies. We put you in there for 2 minutes. Make them damn 2 minutes count.
Who is Marcia?
Anyone have a problem with that? No. Yeah. Otherwise, you can go sit in the stands with your mamas.
Marcia? Marcia S. Pender?
What would I want you to do with your time?
Make your time count.
What?
Make your time count.
What?
Make your time count.
Don't count your time. You make your time count. Good job, ladies. Good job. Marcia Pender, Dillard High School. I'm the head girls basketball coach.
15, 14, 13, 12.
Marcia is a legend in her own right. She's been at the school for over 40 years. She is Dillard High School.
She keeps us on the right path. She keeps our head on the swivel.
She's a competitor.
Make it work, make it work, make it work.
She's a feisty little something.
She may be small in stature, but she is tough.
Get over there, get over there, get over there.
In 40 years, she's been to 39 Final Fours. National Coach of the Year, State Coach of the Year.
She's the most winningest coach in the state of Florida in any sport, boys or girls.
Marcia Pender wins her 6th state championship.
I don't know any coach that can say they've accomplished what she's accomplished.
State title going down.
She's at the top of her profession.
She gets it done. There's no excuses.
I'm here with her till 11 o'clock at night, closing down the school.
If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And that's what she's doing. She just loves coaching.
As successful as she is in basketball, she really wants them to be more successful as a student first. You won't play if you don't have those grades.
In the long term, it's about getting that college degree because basketball isn't always going to be here.
She helped me through high school, through college. I wouldn't have went to college without her.
And I tell every single one of the girls, I'm not looking for a championship. I'm looking for a college degree, period.
For some of these kids, she's the mother that they didn't have at home. And I've seen it many, many times. Young ladies right on the brink of going the other direction. She gets them into her program, and their lives are completely turned around.
Ms. Pender is more than a coach to me. She builds a bond. I just have this open heart for her.
I wouldn't really be the person I am today without her. She's really like a second mom.
The longer you're around her, the more she teaches you. The more she gives, the more they're willing to give her. She takes care of the girls. They don't want for anything. It's just like a mother. We're all her children.
Make it work.
When she's gone, these young ladies are going to miss something. I don't think there's any replacement for this.
I never want her to leave. We need coaches like Marcia Pender.
I just feel so good that I had a little piece in their life to help them move on and to be productive. We're all put here for a reason. And my job is to help these girls get to that next level. I'm very proud of all of them. God has given you a talent. Use that talent. Don't leave until you get what you came for.
Thank you. Who would like to move the item?
If I can just say one other thing before we
Sure,
move
go
on.
ahead. Go ahead.
This is such an honor for me to be able to finish what was started by previous Commissioner McKenzie and Vaughn, Howard, everything that they did to start this moving in the right direction. And this is a great day. It really is. I did not attend Dillard, not by choice, but I did not attend Dillard, but know much about Ms. Pender and everything that she did, what she instilled in so many people that's in my circle. And I'm just grateful to be a part of this process where we, the city of Fort Lauderdale, are honoring her. And the last thing I want to say, her quote, "Don't count your time, make your time count." Amen.
Can I just add one thing? We totally appreciate the road sign. Is there any way, since it's Women's History Month, that we can have this put in this month to represent Coach Marcia Pender?
Ben?
That is the question.
We will look into that.
Okay. Do we have to get the county's permission on that?
Yeah, we're dependent on others.
Yeah, it's
but
the county that has to help us on this.
I'm the type of person, I'm gonna get your number and I'm gonna be calling you. And if we can get it in this month,
the county's number is.
we're gonna push. I'm gonna be pushing you. I'm that type of person. So
Yeah, definitely is the county. So we'll Mr. Ben Rogers, who has been leading this project,
Rogers,
yeah,
okay.
he can help out with that.
let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful
go.
idea.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Anything further?
Thank you very much.
Is there?
Do you move the item?
Yes, so moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, adding Marcia Pender Way as the secondary street name to Northwest 24th Avenue between West Sunrise Boulevard and Panther Lane in the City of Fort Lauderdale, and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Sturman?
Hell yeah.
Commissioner Herbst? Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Watch your language.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and congratulations. Can you come up? Can you? Oh,
Ms. Robinson. Principal Robinson. Yes.
thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay. Moving on to the next item, M1, motion approving event. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I know you all probably have things to do, so we appreciate you being here tonight. M1, motion approving event agreements and related road closures for Colorfest, Nobi Sunday Block Party, and Heal the Planet. Anyone
Mayor?
have any questions with regard to this? There being none, would someone like to move the item? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman,
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman.
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and M1's approved. M2, you're messing me up here. Those are just M3. Okay. M2, motion approving event agreements and requests for music exemptions for Fiesta Fabuloso, Cinco de Mayo celebration, and Waxy St. Pat's party. Sounds like a fun month here. Someone like to move the item?
Well, I'd be happy to because your accent's improved so much since
Yes,
last year.
yes.
My gosh. You've been taking lessons.
Well, I listened to the announcements at the airport because they have such a good accent
Nice.
there.
You're doing great. Thank you. Happy to move it.
It's been moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman,
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and M2 is now approved. M3, motion approving a construction manager at risk agreement for the construction of the City of Fort Lauderdale Police Department headquarters. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any
Vice-
questions? Well, you left me a note that you wanted to speak, but you said only to say supportive, and Randy Spicer only for questions, and same with Stephanie Toothaker. So no one's really signed up to speak. Let's call the roll.
Well,
Oh, did you want to speak?
one question. The 118, what is that? I know that the 141, what is that?
Yeah, Mr. City Manager, do you want to respond to that? I
So
think it's called the hard
the
costs.
118 is for the hard costs. The balance to 141 that was approved as the additional amount that was approved for a loan is soft costs.
Yeah, FFE and soft costs. 41,000.
Million.
41 million, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I requested a comparison of the expenses. I got the final expensive. I wanted a comparison. Is there any way moving forward where I'm asking to get a comparison of what was initially with the, estimated or suggested would be the cost for the headquarters? So I can compare it to what is now being presented, the new increased amount. Because I have that final as to what's being proposed now, but I don't know what was the original proposal cost. Yes.
Commissioner, there was a memo that went out, I believe, a couple of days ago. So it's very difficult to do a line-by-line, one-on-one comparison because things have been moved around to help support the cost of the construction increase. So, for instance, we moved things to the city's direct purchase option. So we took some things out of the line items for construction and put those into soft costs and FF&E. So it doesn't really line up one-to-one. What I could do is we could sit down with you and go through it if you had any questions, because I just don't think I'm going to be able to do a line-by-line comparison the way you'd like it.
I would like to take you up on that offer. So yes,
Okay.
we'll get an appointment and make that happen.
Okay, will do.
Any other questions? Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman,
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and the item's approved. Congratulations. It's a long time coming. I want to thank city staff, our police department, our consultants, our engineers. This has been a long time coming. I want to thank the public for approving the bond issue. This will provide the city of Fort Lauderdale with a state-of-the-art police facility and also provide for infrastructure improvements that will permit this building to withstand a Category 5 hurricane. Right now, we are definitely at risk with the destruction of our department if a major storm were to come through. So this is another step forward for this community. And again, I'm going to thank members of the commission and the community for making this happen. So congratulations, Mr. City Manager, also. M4, motion approving a services agreement between the City of Fort Lauderdale and the Fort Lauderdale Community Redevelopment Agency. I have a couple people who've signed up to speak. Tamika Weaver, followed by Ebony Crispin, and followed by Sister Robin Merrill. Tamika, are you here? There you are. She's wearing the green. Good evening.
So, good evening. My name is Tamika Weaver, and I am the Director of Housing for Broward House. Every single day, I receive phone calls from individuals in the community, my clients, about them not able to afford where they currently stay, or them receiving letters that their leases are abruptly stopped because big corporations have taken over their buildings and they can't afford the new rent that's now being imposed. They are going through evictions. I have clients every single day that called me with rent increases up to $600, and we're talking about affordable housing. The people that live in the city of Fort Lauderdale are unable to live in the city of Fort Lauderdale because they've been ran out by big corporations that are turning their affordable buildings into luxury condos and luxury apartments. And it's not fair that we're not taking into consideration for affordable housing. The people that live in the city of Fort Lauderdale, that love to live in the city of Fort Lauderdale, are unable to live in the city of Fort Lauderdale. And not only the residents that are served, but even the employees. So the employees that we have working with the most vulnerable population that come to work every single day to help our clients look for housing are also in need of housing themselves. So in 2 years, the employees that we see even around in this room and the employees that we work with every single day will no longer be able to live in the city of Fort Lauderdale because of the housing costs. So I just want to be able to take in consideration that if we're allowing these big corporations to come in to take over affordable housing for the ones that are currently living in there, we should also take in consideration to allow big corporations to build some affordable housing for the residents that are already living here. I was told 90%, after doing some research, of people in Broward County can't even afford to buy a house in Broward County. And so in 2 years, City of Fort Lauderdale is going to be the most advanced, the most rich state, but the people are going to be forced to move because they can't afford to stay here. So I just wanted that to be taken into consideration.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, is this are we on M4?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm just a little confused by the agenda item and then the discussion. Isn't this just something that we did this afternoon in terms of a service agreement between the CRA and the city?
No, I believe she's probably the speaker is speaking about the second ordinance, OFR 2 maybe.
But this is not what we're talking about now.
No, she signed up for M4, so I agree with you, but she signed up to speak, so.
But we are on M4, right?
We are on M4.
Okay, that's just the service agreement between the CRA and the city, right?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Ebony, do you want to wait till that item comes up? Because I think you want to talk about affordable housing too, right?
Yeah, the reason is there wasn't any real place for us to be able to speak. We wanted to find those testimonies.
Which item, Commissioner, did you say that? Commissioner, which item were you referring to?
No, but there is an item, I think, later. There's
R2?
OF, yeah, hold on a second. OFR1, right? OFR2.
OFR2.
Yeah, there's OFR2.
Robin, you want to speak to that also? Robin? But did you want to speak on OFR2? No, you want to speak on M4?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you come up?
Just quickly, I would like to
mention that CRA money, I
This
feel
is not a CRA item.
M4.
I mean, it's not an expenditure. It's just an agreement to
I'm
do
aware of that.
services. Okay, all right.
Yeah. I just feel that it should be more directed, not just to marketing, but to have more attention to the actual folks that are living in the area, aside from businesses. So most often we're using these funds towards people's businesses. And I've read through that budget line item, and I'd like to see that looked at a little bit more closely, because those funds can be allocated, I think, in better and other directions. There's some things are a bit nebulous as far as the budget for that. And we can be moving that money towards people's living needs in those CRA zones. That's my concern.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, no one else has signed up to speak. Anyone have any questions with regard to this item? There being none, someone like to move M4?
Moved.
Please call the roll. Oh, I need a second? Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalles?
Yes, and M4 is now approved. Ooh, M5. We'll start with Commissioner Herbst. Do you have any comments with regard to the performance of our city clerk?
So I have had the pleasure of working with David for quite a few years now and have enjoyed watching him grow and develop in his career. I think he's done an outstanding job. He's been extremely supportive to me during my time as city auditor and now as a city commissioner. And I'm heartily endorse everything he's done for us. So thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes, the 90 days that I've been in this position.
90 days?
90 days.
You counting them?
I'm counting them, 90 days. David has been such an asset to me, my office, the things that we needed to file and take care of. And I'm really looking forward to our relationship growing. And thank you for what you do. I am very pleased with your performance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Glassman?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just simply handling 1,300 public records requests is enough to say to me, great job. Again, thank you for everything you do. I will echo everyone's comments to now, and also let you know that you even got a few shout outs at my District 2 pre-agenda meeting last evening as well. So I'm very appreciative of the work. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Fine job. I think you're doing excellent. Very nice young man, and like the new microphones and everything. But very good job. Excellent.
What action are we taking here? Is it a salary increase? We're not really. What action are we taking here, Mr. City Manager?
So I think this is an opportunity to receive feedback, right? And also annual merit increase. That would be typical.
It's not on here.
No, I didn't put it on there just because I have to do the one-year annual performance review.
Right.
So I didn't put on anything for.
So that would be a separate item.
Yeah, if there was some, yeah.
Okay.
I guess it could bring back.
I don't believe there's one on here. So would it be appropriate for me to make a motion that we award the city clerk a 3% merit increase?
Yeah.
Which is.
I think that's why I'm wondering why there has to be something to this.
So typically we'd have a resolution accompanying this. I know when I was the auditor, we would have a resolution prepared with a blank line so that the commission could determine what they wished to award the charter officers when they were doing their review. I don't see a resolution attached. So how would we approach this, City Attorney?
Well, I'll take it as a direction, and we can bring a reso at the next commission meeting.
Okay. Well, that would be my motion, is that we bring it forward at the next meeting for a 3% merit increase for Mr. Solomon.
And would that be retroactive to now?
We can put that in.
Thank you.
Typically, Commissioner, we do it retroactive to the anniversary date, whenever that might be. So that would be my recommendation.
It was late January.
Late January?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
So I too want to just echo the sentiments of the rest of the commission. David, you've been great, very responsive and very responsible, and you know, the one thing that the people of this community recognize is the responsiveness that the city government undertakes when there are requests made or whenever anything is expected from the city, and you've always been there, very vigilant. You've helped my office. I know you've helped all the other offices here in the work that we try to undertake. So, thank you for making us look good, and I would definitely support the motion that Commissioner Herbst is recommending for the next meeting. So. I think I was supposed to bring forward the settlement thing, and I completely forgot. You want to do it now? What item was that, Mr. Spence?
It's a walk-on.
It's the walk-on, right?
I just want to thank you, the commission, very much
Oh, we haven't given
for the
it to you
kind
yet,
words
so.
and support. And I also want to thank the city clerk's office staff. They're awesome. They're the ones, Cassandra, with the public records requests and everything. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
As we all know,
Where's
David, as we all know, it's not the charter officers, it's the staff that actually get work done. So thank you for acknowledging
That is correct.
So it's CAM item 23-0298, and our office is recommending that the commission approves a settlement of $200,000 in the case of Ewell. In the Southern District of Florida. So we've discussed this case in a closed-door meeting previously, and we've come to this agreement.
Did that amount come within the recommendation of the commission?
It did. It does.
Okay. All right, that being said, do I hear a motion to approve the settlement agreement?
Moved.
Do I hear a second? Any other questions? There being none, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and that settlement agreement is now approved. Thank you for all your work in making that happen. Thank you for saving the city the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we could have suffered. Okay. Okay. Moving on. R1, appointment of board and committee members. Mr. Clerk, would you like to read the names into the record?
Yes. For the March 23rd resolution, Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, Kiefer Janes, nominated by Commissioner Beasley Pittman. Community Appearance Board, Chancel Dean, nominated by Commissioner Beasley Pittman. Northwest Progressive Flagler Heights Redevelopment Board, Ruben Nesbitt, nominated by Commissioner Beasley Pittman. And also, I just wanted to bring up the Central Wastewater Large Users Advisory Board. We still need somebody from a commission member for that board. It's a quarterly meeting that they have. Their next meeting is May 3rd.
Okay.
And for tonight's resolution, Aviation Advisory Board, William Gilbert, nominated by Vice Mayor Sturman. Central City Redevelopment Advisory Board, Jason Hoffman, nominated by Commissioner Glassman. Justin Greenbaum, nominated by Commissioner Herbst. Citizens Committee of Recognition, Gina Ellis, nominated by Vice Mayor Sturman. Community Appearance Board, Elka Keimel, nominated by Commissioner Herbst. Community Service Boards, Gary Hensley, nominated by Commissioner Glassman. Education Advisory Board, Heather Brinkworth, nominated by Commissioner Herbst. Christopher Aurelia, nominated by Vice Mayor Sturman. Carlos Lang, nominated by Vice Mayor Sturman. Fire Rescue Advisory Committee, Jacqueline Scott, nominated by Mayor Trentalis. Fire Rescue Facilities Bond Issue Blue Ribbon Committee, Mark Booth, nominated by Vice Mayor Sturman. Insurance Advisory Board, David Cooley, nominated by Commissioner Herbst. Tina Gelman, nominated by Commissioner Herbst. Marine Advisory Board, Ed Rebholz, nominated by Mayor Trentalis. Robert Washington, nominated by Commissioner Beasley Pittman. Parks, Rec, and Beaches Board, Zilla Tarko, nominated by Commissioner Herbst. Sunrise Key Neighborhood Improvement District, Tom Walter, nominated by Commissioner Glassman. And the 2023 Walk of Fame Induction Committee, Alex O'Connor, nominated by Vice Mayor Sturman. And that rounds it out.
Are there any additions or modifications? There being none, would someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduce.
The resolution's been introduced. Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, appointing and nominating, if applicable, board and committee members as set forth in the exhibit attached here to and made a part hereof. Vice Mayor Sturman,
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and those board members and committee members are now approved, and I want to thank you all for your commitment to your community and the sacrifice you're making to make Fort Lauderdale the beautiful city that it continues to be. R2, resolution delegating to the Director of the Development Services Department the authority to approve and execute affordable housing development agreements and amendments to affordable housing development agreements. We have Sister Robin Merrill has asked to speak. Do you want to speak on this item again?
I'm very happy that this policy is being put in place. It is incremental, though, and the amount of work that we need to have done already in place regarding affordable housing is tragic, and it's an embarrassment. There were promises made that haven't been kept regarding housing and density and overdevelopment. So I feel strongly that we should get more done. I'm not sure if you will be backtracking as far as trying to increase the amount of affordable housing that's available. For example, everything that's been approved, fast-tracked as far as the buildings that have gone up in the city, why wasn't there mandates that a certain amount were for actual people, affordable housing, that people could get in and be able to live, work, and play here, like our motto is, because not everyone can live where they work. So while I'm thrilled about policy changes like this motion, that this policy that is being enacted, it's great. The city staff is amazing at the things that they're getting done, but it's you, the elected officials, that could have done more when you promised us that you would. And I know that many of the folks here are new, but there's more that can be done, and that's what I'm asking for.
Thank you. Just a quick question: this item is being proposed tonight to reflect the county's ordinance?
No, this actually, what this does is it streamlines approvals.
This just lets everything bypass the commission. This just gives authority. This is not what's been discussed so far. This is just to delegate authority to the Director of Development Services Department.
Okay. And also, you made some comments regarding promises that were made by members of the commission and broken promises. I need to let you know that, on many occasions, this commission has expressed an interest in requiring affordable housing to be included in some of the market rate housing. And as you know, the state statute precludes us from doing that. You knew that, right? It's not that we broke promises, just that the state said that if we in any way diminish the profit that a developer would make by requiring them to include affordable housing and not letting them make market rate housing in their entire project, the city has to write them a check for their lost profit. Right. So we're not in a position, the city is not in a position to give millions of dollars to each developer in order to provide affordable housing. There are other methodologies in which to do that. Now, this is not no, you spoke. I'm just responding to your comments, okay? So don't cast aspersions on the intent and the purpose of decisions being made here in the commission. The commission is looking for every angle that we can to try to become more responsive to the need for affordable housing, and our hands are often tied by state statute. All right, R3. This is a resolution accepting a grant agreement from the Department of Economic Opportunity.
We never voted on R2.
Oh, I apologize.
And we didn't finish discussing R2, I don't think, did we?
I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, currently, this goes before the city commission, right? And this is just taking the authority away from the commission? Is that how, I'm just wondering.
You want to explain how that works, Mr. City Manager?
Yeah, so Chris Cooper's coming up, but essentially.
Chris, you want to explain that?
Essentially, you've authorized this, these agreements as in general. And what this does is it streamlines the agreement.
This is going to help facilitate the
Quicker
process
turnaround.
of securing affordable housing in the city.
Correct. So these projects go through their regular development approval process, and they include all of the prescribed requirements of the code for affordable housing to get whatever incentive that they're receiving in return for that. So these affordable housing agreements come after that process just to memorialize and create that document to make sure that those things happen into the future.
Is this subject to, will these decisions be subject to call-up?
The projects themselves, they could be. It depends on the project and what level of review it is, but the agreements themselves come after the approval process usually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's to memorialize the provision of the housing that the developer is providing.
Okay.
Currently, it comes before the commission,
It
correct?
does.
And this is to take us out of the loop with that?
It is,
So,
but not on the development review.
so just to clarify that even further, our charter requires for documents to be executed by the mayor or the city manager, approved as to form by the city attorney, and there are some run-of-the-mill agreements. In this case, this agreement, which has already been considered under a approval process, this is just memorializing what the approving body has already approved. And so we think it's, kind of paper pushing in a sense that doesn't warrant it coming before the commission again for an additional round of approval.
Are you saying this is more ministerial in nature?
It's not necessarily ministerial, but what I'm saying is during the initial review that a lot of the terms and conditions are kind of already discussed and dealt with at that time.
Do you have any other questions, Vice Mayor?
I'm just, before I vote, I'm just curious how my colleagues think about that. I mean, is it?
Well, they're each going to have an opportunity to speak.
Okay.
Commissioner Glassman?
Well, I'm looking at this, and I really do think that this is really just to deal with the incentives, correct? That the developers can get to do the affordable housing. It's really
Correct. The
It-
code,
yeah, it's- everything else
the
is-
ULDR pretty much outlines the provisions of these agreements. So, they're going to be they're all kind of standard. We wouldn't bring anything that kind of deviates each time. So they're kind of standard agreements. They're kind of form agreements to memorialize the approvals.
Right, and I think that's the key word, memorialize, because we are going to see these projects go through the development and regulation process that we would always see. It's not like we're not going to see these projects, but this is just sort of like the little final step to make sure that, all the Ts are crossed and the Is are dotted, especially, for all the different incentives that they're going to be granted, for the affordable housing. So, and those are all laid out in the ULDR anyway, in terms of increased height, the density bonuses. It's really, I think it just expedites everything, so I'm okay with it.
Any other comments?
I would just like to say, I'm in agreement with this. Anything that would expedite and make this move faster and smoother, I believe it would help us, attempt to secure those additional housing without slowing down the process.
Okay. There being no further comments, would someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
Resolution's been introduced. Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, delegating to the Director of the Development Services Department the authority to approve and execute affordable housing development agreements and amendments to affordable housing development agreements, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalles?
Yes, and that resolution is now approved. R3, resolution accepting a grant agreement from the Department of Economic Opportunity and authorizing the city manager to execute the grant agreement and all documents necessary or incidental to the grant in the amount of $906,510. We're rich. Any comments or questions? There being none, would someone like to introduce the resolution?
Okay, so move.
It's been introduced. Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, accepting a CDBG CV grant from the Department of Economic Opportunity in the amount of $906,510 pursuant to the CARES Act, delegating authority to the city manager to execute the grant agreement and any all documents necessary or incidental to manage the grant and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalles?
Yes, and R3 is now approved. PH1, public hearing, quasi-judicial ordinance, rezoning from industrial district to Northwest Regional Activity Center, mixed use west. This is SJC Sistrunk LLC. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in, and the commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. I have, Commissioner Herbst, do you have any disclosures?
I do, but I don't have it with me. I apologize.
Who would you have met with?
Hang on, I'm sorry. I had a binder with my disclosure in it, and I
It's
don't have the
okay.
binder with me. It's up in my office, so my apologies.
Did you meet with Mr. Jones?
Yes, I did, but I thought I'd met with somebody else, but I think that was it. So my apologies, yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman.
No disclosures.
I don't think we've met. Did we?
We did meet.
We did meet. Okay,
Yes.
I met with him.
There you go. Your binder must be with
My
Commissioner
binder
Herbst's
is,
binder.
yeah, I'm
They're
looking
all
for it.
together.
I'm looking-
They're all the binders.
I think it's
all the
where
disclosure
Commissioner Herbst's
binders.
binder is.
Yes. Well, I have my binder with me, so I will let you know that I have done site visits and also on February 1st, 2023, met with Mr. Sean Jones.
And Vice Mayor?
No.
None. Okay. All right, so disclosures have now been announced. We now open public hearing. Mr. Jones, are you just here to respond to questions?
No, I have a short presentation.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'll make it short.
Okay.
First of all, good evening. Sean
I see it
Jones.
up on the screen. So go ahead. Let us see.
Okay.
You spent
Sean
a lot
Jones
of
on
time on
behalf-
this. I want you to be able to.
For the record, Sean Jones on behalf of the applicant SJC Sistrunk LLC. This is a rezoning request in the Progresso neighborhood. First slide is bringing up that this is a rezoning from general industrial to Northwest Regional Activity Center Mixed Use West, which is consistent with the patterns of rezoning in the neighborhood. This is an aerial view of the approximately 1 acre site with the lots to be rezoned outlined in black. It's adjacent to the requested zoning, which is the Northwest RAC Mixed Use West, which is the bottom portion of the red line. Now, we've done a complete analysis of the rezoning, using the rezoning criteria. It's in your backup as well as in our application. We've gotten a positive recommendation from staff. I'm not going to go through and read this because you're familiar with, the rezoning criteria. We've also met with the neighborhood association and got a positive recommendation or a letter of support from the Progressive Village Civic Association. And this completes my presentation.
What do you plan to do on this site?
Well, the plan is to do mixed use and be consistent with the other types of rezonings that have occurred and development that has occurred, like the Adderley is one that's recently broken ground.
Okay. Commissioner Beasley Pittman, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions at this time. It's just rezoning to be in consistency with the other lots.
adjacent, okay.
Yes,
And
I'm fine
Commissioner
with that.
Glassman, do you have any questions?
I just want to thank Mr. Jones. He also, I wanted to just mention, in addition to what he said, that the Planning and Zoning Board did approve of this by a 9-0 vote, which is not always the case on planning and zoning, so that was
Mr. Jones
great.
is so charming, I can see
Yes.
why.
So that was a 9-0
You're so
vote.
kind.
Yeah.
So I'm all in favor.
Okay. Someone move to close public hearing?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
One quick thing, we did meet, I guess, on, I'd forgotten about that. Just for the record, okay?
I didn't hear what you said. What's that?
We had met for the
Yeah,
record.
okay,
Okay.
sure. The motion's been made to close public hearing. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Sturman,
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalles.
Yes, and public hearing is now closed. Would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
If I may ask, as part of that, are you introducing it for approval?
Yes.
Yes.
And is it based on the review criteria within the commission agenda memorandum?
You read my mind, yes.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Good.
Please call the roll.
In ordinance amending section 47-1.6.b of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida Unified Land Development Regulations to the revision of the official zoning map of the City of Fort Lauderdale and Schedule A revised compilation attached thereto and by reference made a part thereof so as to rezone from industrial zoning district to Northwest Regional Activity Center Mixed Use West zoning districts, all of lots 15, 16, and 17, block 328 Progresso, according to the plat thereof as recorded in Plat Book 2, page 18 of the Public Records of Dade County, Florida, located west of Northwest 8th Avenue, north of Northwest 6th Street, east of Northwest 9th Avenue, and south of Northwest 7th Street, all said lands being in the City of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Sturman,
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalles.
Yes, and the ordinance is now approved. PH2, quasi-judicial public hearing.
That one,
That
that was removed.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was for, yeah. You ready?
No, PH2 was removed.
Oh, right, I'm sorry. Right. City attorney asked that you want postponed or just removed? Do you want a date certain?
removed because the fourth DCA just recently did a case, entered a order that no longer allows us to defer items to preserve the advertising, so it doesn't matter with regards to the deferrals anymore. So we'll just remove it and we'll re-advertise.
So
it.
we don't have to pick a date certain in the future?
You don't.
Oh.
But we're required to advertise everything before
In
the final-
advance, yeah. Okay, good to know. Okay, moving on to ordinance of first reading, OFR 1. This is an ordinance amending the non-bargaining unit classification table of the pay plan of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida by amending one classification from non-classified to classified. Okay, anyone have any questions with regard to this? There being none, someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced. Second.
It's been introduced.
In ordinance of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, amending the non-bargaining unit classification table of the pay plan of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as amended by modifying the management category and classification status of one classification and providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinance provisions, and an effective date. Vice Mayor Sturman,
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalles.
Yes, and OFR 1 is now approved on first reading. OFR 2, first reading of an ordinance amending the City of Fort Lauderdale Unified Land Development Regulations to revise Section 47-13.20 Downtown RAC Review Process and Special Regulations, Section 47-18.21 Mixed Use Development, and Section 47-23.16 Affordable Housing Regulations. I have a couple people signed up to speak. Ebony, do you want to speak on this item? Why don't you come up and speak right now if you...
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Ebony Crispin. I am the Director of Legislative Affairs and Community Engagement with Healthy Housing Foundation, powered by AHF. So a couple of things. One, I recognize that there's only but so much the city and county can do with the statutes that are coming from Tallahassee. I'm also aware that you can't mandate market rate or luxury developers to require a percentage of their developments to go towards low-income, affordable, or workforce housing. However, I think that there are opportunities to incentivize developers to be able to support some of the requests that advocates like myself have, including flex units and considering inclusionary housing and incentives that help them to get to a place where they say we can include workforce, affordable housing, or low-income housing in our properties. I think also there are developments going up like 409 Southeast 8th Street that are a block away from the property that the city denied us from building. Will be a 30-story property, 15 stories higher than what we were recommending a couple of years ago. That will be a density issue, which was something that was brought up to us. That will create issues for emergency services. I could go on. And so I think there are opportunities for the city to still help organizations like ours to be able to curb the housing crisis that has been taking place for a long time. There are commissioners on the dais currently that weren't there a couple of years ago, and even to Mayor Trentalis and Commissioner Glassman. I recognize the work that you've done in order to support affordable housing, and I know that there is more that we can do. I'm here because I want to be able to identify ways for us to work together. I've given 2 recommendations just now, and I'd like to be able to figure out a way to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sister Robin Merrill, followed by Walter Duke.
Again, I'm glad for this new policies coming in, better policies, tightening things up. But my question is, how many new units are we going to have available this year? Policies can only go so far, and we need housing now. I can't help but be disappointed, and I reflect today on International Women's Day that had more women been in power longer, that we might not have a housing crisis. Just saying. I think that might be the case, because I do think that women maybe care about housing a bit more, maybe.
Women like Carrie Lake?
No.
Oh, okay.
But some local women, yeah. So I do want to see more attention and more action. So beyond policy, but actual units. And there are things that we can do to incentivize developers. Thank you.
Thank you. Walter, good evening.
Good evening, commissioners, vice mayor, mayor, staff. I'm Walter Duke, 901 Southeast 5th Court, Fort Lauderdale. I have the pleasure and privilege of serving as the chair of the Broward Workshop Affordable Housing Committee. I also co-chair the Alliance Affordable Housing Pillar with Senator Nan Rich and Sandra Einhorn, who I know many of you know. So we've been working on this amendment that's in front of you with the county for over a year now, and it was finally approved by the county on December 6th. The Planning Council approved it unanimously. The county approved it unanimously, and we're very excited about it. And what this does basically is just makes the city code consistent with the county code. And the county code basically incentivizes developers to include affordable housing in their development. It incentivizes developers to develop along transportation corridors where bus routes go and where our service industry workers live and work. So we're really supportive of this particular language, and we want to applaud and thank the planning staff of the city of Fort Lauderdale and indeed your commission and the prior commission, because you have been leaders in housing affordability. It's a countywide crisis in Broward County, and we are one of the least affordable places to live in the state, and statistically speaking, and the country. So these types of policy changes, and I know, Robin, that they don't happen right away, but all of them do add up and they do eventually work. So we would anticipate that this type of policy change, which really enhances the Geller Amendment from last year, would result in approximately 600 to 1,000 new affordable units a year here in Broward County, and that's something that we need. The pandemic really shed light on the need for housing affordability in and around downtown, which is an economic hub of the county. If you look at the county, which has an economic GDP of approximately $127 million, downtown's about 30 billion of that, 127 billion. So downtown's very important. Our service workers, our tourism industry along the beach, we need to get workers closer to where they live. So I'm very supportive and appreciative of you considering this tonight. I hope you'll pass and support it. It's a great idea, and it just makes the city code consistent with the county code so that we can move forward in a quicker way. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? There being none, would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduce.
The ordinance has been introduced. Any questions or comments? There being none, please call the roll.
An ordinance of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, amending the City of Fort Lauderdale Unified Land Development Regulations to modify existing regulations and adopt additional regulations that are consistent with Broward County Land Use Plan Policy Number 2.16.4, specifically amending Section 47-13.20 of the ULDR entitled Downtown RAC Review Process and Special Regulations to add regulations regarding density, amending Section 47-18.21 of the ULDR entitled Mixed Use Development to add regulations for developments that face or front qualified roads, to modify regulations for mixed use development on commercial land use designated parcels, and modify regulations for mixed use development on employment center land use designated parcels to add locations where affordable units are permitted, amending Section 47-23.16 of the ULDR entitled Affordable Housing Regulations to modify regulations regarding affordable housing unit sizes, to add regulations regarding developments that face or front qualified roads, to modify regulations for developments which include residential units, to modify the development permit application process, to amend the affordable housing requirements and modify the payment in lieu of affordable housing regulations, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Vice Mayor Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes. And the ordinance is approved on first reading. OSR 1, it's the second reading of an ordinance amending the City of Fort Lauderdale Unified Land Development Regulations, list of permitted and conditional uses, Commerce Center District to add water treatment plant as a use. Anyone have any questions with regard to this? This is a second reading. There being none, someone would like to introduce the ordinance.
Introduced.
The ordinance has been introduced.
An ordinance of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, amending Article 2 zoning district requirements, Section 47.10 Commerce Center District, Section 47-10.10 List of permitted and conditional uses, Commerce Center District of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida Unified Land Development Regulations to add water treatment plant located greater than 300 feet from residential property as a permitted use, and water treatment plant located 300 feet or less from residential property as a conditional use to the Commerce Center zoning district, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinance provisions, codification and correction of scrivener's errors, and for an effective date. Vice Mayor Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
No.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes. And the ordinance is now approved. This is an OSR 2, second reading of an ordinance amending the City of Fort Lauderdale Code of Ordinances, Chapter 9, Building and Construction, Article 2, Permits and Inspections, Division 2 fees to adjust building fees for services related to land development and permitting. This is an ordinance on second reading. Someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
Introduced. Anyone have any questions? There being none, please call the roll.
An ordinance of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, amending Section 9-48 General Permit Fees by amending permit by affidavit fees of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinance provisions, and an effective date. Vice Mayor Sturman?
Yes.
Commissioner Herbst?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and OSR 2 is now approved on second reading. We have a walk-on here. This is a resolution approving a waiver of the mandatory formal bid requirements of City Code Section 2-181 to procure booking services from Wizard Entertainment for the 4th of July Spectacular on Fort Lauderdale Beach for $131,400. What does that money go towards, Mr. City Manager?
So a portion of that goes to a booking agent, and then the rest goes to the artist. $115,000 is for the artist, and the remaining balances for the booking agent.
Do we have an artist in mind yet?
We do.
We do. Is it a secret?
They're bringing me out of retirement, Mayor. I can't even believe
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I can't even believe it.
We will provide an
Band with
announcement.
dancers.
Yeah, we will provide an announcement on May 6th.
Okay. All right. Would someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
Any questions? There being none, please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, approving the waiver of mandatory bid requirements of City Code Section 2-81 to procure the professional services of a booking agent for the city's 4th of July Spectacular on Fort Lauderdale Beach, authorizing the city manager to execute a service agreement with Wizard Entertainment, Inc. for a total of $131,400 for booking services and any and all documents necessary or incidental thereto, and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Sturman?
You realize I gave you that good recommendation because you could read so fast. Yes.
He
Commissioner
got his
Herbst?
practice in FedEx commercials.
Commissioner Herbst? Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner Beasley Pittman?
Opportunity to ask a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I asked if anyone had any
You
questions.
did, and
It's okay. What you can still ask.
my question is this amount in addition to what the event cost?
This is the what? Oh, well, the logistics and police and all that. That would be extra. This is just for the entertainment.
What is the budget for it overall?
So the budget overall, and I'm going to ask Phil to confirm. I believe it's $400,000
For 4th of July.
for 4th of July. Yes, $400,000. For the beach
Okay,
event.
am I mistaken? I thought there was a set budget for all events across the city for this year. That wasn't that amount.
That is it. We provide a memo at the beginning of the year, and that is the amount that we specify in the memo for the 4th of July.
Okay.
Is that a yes
Okay.
or a no?
Oh, for my vote, no. No.
And Mayor Trentalis?
Yes. Any further business of the City Commission, Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney? Anyone on the commission have any additional business?
Mayor, I can't remember if we did approve this already, but wasn't there a walk-on for IT at all? Did we do that already?
We updated the budget amendment to include the
To include the
additional
IT?
1.2 million
Perfect.
in the
Thank you.
budget amendment.
Thank you.
Any further business?
I'm good. Thank you, Mayor.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.